2022 at noong Nobyembre 2021 na parehong nasa 64.2%. Ang labor force participation rate nitong Nobyembre 2022 ay naitalang pinakamataas simula noong gamitin ang bagong kahulugan ng unemployed noong Abril 2005. Nitong Nobyembre 2022, ang employed persons o bilang ng may trabaho o negosyo ay naitala sa 49.71 million. Ito ay mas mataas ng 2.6 million kaysa sa naitala noong Oktubre 2022 na nasa 47.11 million at higit na mas mataas kumpara sa bilang noong Nobyembre 2021 na nasa 45.47 million. Ang employment rate nitong Nobyembre 2022 ay nasa 95.8%. Ito ay mas mataas kumpara noong Oktubre 2022 na nasa 95.5% at higit naman na mas mataas kumpara noong Nobyembre 2021 na nasa 93.5%. Ang unemployed persons o bilang na nasa labor force na walang trabaho o negosyo na naghahanap at available magtrabaho nitong Nobyembre 2022 ay nasa 2.18 million. Ito ay bahagyang mas mababa kumpara noong nakaraang Oktubre 2022 na nasa 2.24 million at higit naman na mas mababa kumpara sa 3.16 million noong Nobyembre 2021. Ang unemployment rate nitong Nobyembre 2022 ay naitala sa 4.2% o 42 sa bawat 1,000 na individual na nasa labor force ang walang trabaho o negosyo. Ito ay bahagyang mas mababa kumpara noong Oktubre 2022 na nasa 4.5% at higit naman na mas mababa kumpara sa naitala noong Nobyembre 2021 na nasa 6.5%. Ang unemployment rate nitong Nobyembre 2022 ay ang pinakamababa sa naitala mula Abril 2005. Ang bilang ng underemployed nitong Nobyembre 2022 ay tinatayang nasa 7.16 million. Ito ay mas mataas ng mga 488,000 kung ikukumpara sa naitala na bilang ng underemployed noong Oktubre 2022 na nasa 6.67 million. Makikita namang mas mababa ito ng mga 457,000 kumpara sa bilang ng underemployed noong Nobyembre na nakalipas na taon na nasa 7.62 million. Ang underemployment rate nitong Nobyembre 2022 ay nasa 14.4%. Ito ay mas mataas kumpara nung naitala sa Oktubre 2022 na nasa 14.2%, ngunit mas mababa naman kumpara sa naitala noong Nobyembre 2021 na nasa 16.8%. Kung ating susuriin ang mga datos ayon sa kasarian, sa buwan ng Nobyembre 2022, ang labor force participation rate ng mga kalalakihan ay nasa 77%. Ito ay mas mataas kaysa sa mga kababaihan na nasa 57.8% lamang. Nitong Nobyembre 2022, ang employment rate ng mga kalalakihan ay naitala sa 95.7% at makikitang mas mababa kumpara sa naitala para sa mga kababaihan na nasa 95.9%. Samantala, 4.3% o 43 sa kada 1,000 na kalalakihan naman na nasa labor force ang walang trabaho o negosyo na naghahanap ng trabaho at available magtrabaho nitong Nobyembre 2022. Ito ay makikitang mas mataas sa unemployment rate ng mga kababaihan na nasa 4.1%. Sa mga employed na kalalakihan nitong Nobyembre 2022, 16.1% sa kanila ay matatawag na underemployed. Higit na mas mataas ito kumpara sa underemployment rate ng mga kababaihan na nasa 12.1%. Kung ang datos ng pangunahing sektor naman ang ating titingnan nitong Nobyembre 2022, ang services sector pa rin ang nananatiling bumubuo sa pinakamalaking bahagi ng labor force na nasa 60.5% share. Kasunod dito ang agriculture sector na may 21.4% share, habang ang industry sector naman ay nagtala ng 18.1% share. Kung ikukumpara ang estimates ng mga subsector nitong Nobyembre 2022 sa Oktubre 2022, ang mga subsector na may pinakamalaking pagtaas sa bilang ng may trabaho o negosyo ay ang mga sumusunod: wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles na may dagdag na 941,000. Ang malaking pagtaas sa subsector na ito ay nagmula sa other retail sale not in stores, stalls or markets tulad ng door-to-door retailing, selling by vending machine, retail of health products.
Again, that was the Philippine Statistics Authority reporting the latest employment figures, at least for the month of November. A quick recap here of those figures. Again, unemployment stands at 4.2%, a slight improvement here compared to the 4.5% that was recorded in October of last year. At the same time, employment figure here improving 95.8% compared to the 95.5% that was tallied back in October of 2022. But there's been a slight downturn here, especially when it comes to underemployment here. That's now at 14.4% compared to the 14.2% that was recorded month on month, at least back in October. Now, to make sense of those figures, we have with us Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr., the president of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines. Sir Sergio, good day. What do you make of those latest employment figures?
Well, it's consistent with what we are seeing on the ground. No? It's continuously improving employment as we get out of the pandemic. And companies are opening up and the restrictions are taken away. So obviously, the employment rate, although not at the speed that we would like to see it, is continuously improving.
Okay. Do you see this becoming a trend already? The easing when it comes to unemployment, this has been the case since September, if I'm not mistaken. Do you see this extending? And at the same time, more to your point here, are we improving fast enough?
Well, actually, you will also see that there is still a lot of underemployed. No? So in a way, the definition of employment is anybody who works for one day is employed, and those who are not looking for jobs are not considered unemployed. So you will notice that there is something, there's a problem there. So the underemployment is something that we have to look at, because some people probably are just working one day a week, and they're considered employed, and that increases statistics.
What does that say about the quality of jobs that we have been producing since fully reopening the economy?
The quality of jobs certainly, because many of them is just sharing, and many of them is just to be able to employ many of their workers. They call them back, but they are on rotation system, and the earnings are really less than what is usual. So the quality of jobs we have to improve.
Now, you have the government releasing their 5-year development plan here, and the goal is to contain unemployment at 4 to 5% all the way to 2028. Is that even achievable?
That is achievable, but whenever we try to control unemployment, we have to also address the underemployment.
Right.
We should not forget that.
And how exactly do we address that?
Pardon?
How exactly do we address that, underemployment?
Well,
What's the strategy?
what the government is doing now, looking for investors, looking for companies encouraging companies to open again, and those who, especially the small ones, training. And one of the things that we have been neglecting is, we have a Bambi law. Is supposed to exempt companies from some regulations, like minimum wage, like some payment of some taxes. We have to encourage the Bambi law to be used. It's not being addressed by many LGUs.
Okay, Bambilo, this is something, of course, that we are going to look into. But at the same time, like what you mentioned earlier, we still are facing some global headwinds here. I mean, oil prices are cooling, but that is also quite uncertain, especially considering that China is reopening. We now have fears of recession. Add to that, of course, the war in Ukraine still raging on. How do you think might these offshore concerns impact industries and eventually creation of jobs here in the Philippines?
Well, the government is on the right track on this, no, and we are trying to encourage this. But we just have to address some regulatory measures that has been impeding the development of many industries. We have good laws, but sometimes the interpretation that are made by the agencies are bad, which discourages company from expanding or from even opening up, especially the micro industries.
Now, how many jobs is the private sector looking to add this 2023?
Well, last year, the private sector, together, we signed an MOU with DOLE, DTI, NEDA, and we signed the Philippine Chamber of Commerce, the manufacturing sectors, the BPOs, and contractors, and we made a commitment to do 1 million jobs last year. We did not meet the 1 million jobs in December, but because we made a stricter measure last year,
Right.
because of the resurgence of COVID, but we finally met the 1 million jobs last March. And
Okay.
again, we signed an agreement again, the same group, expanded group, to do another 1 million jobs last May during the Labor Day. And I have not followed up how much has been accomplished in that area, but I'm sure there is already how many jobs has been created already.
Okay, I do hope that you can provide us some outlook at least in some future time as to how much jobs you are seeking to create for 2023. But now, since we're still dealing with high inflation here, are you gearing up for the possibility of renewed calls here for wage increases? Are employers amenable to do a new round?
Well, the big ones, companies, 90% of our enterprises are micro. A little over 8% is small. Medium is 1%, less than 1% is the large. So you will notice that we have to worry about the micro. 50% of the micro industries closed down during the pandemic days, and they're beginning to open. And we have to encourage them to open, and that is why they are the ones who needed assistance from the government, and we have to really help out the small ones, and we have to remember also that whenever there is when people ask for increases in wages, we mean increase in minimum wage, no? Only 10% of our labor force, or thereabouts about 50 million, as you mentioned earlier in the data, are minimum wage earners. The other 90 belongs to the informal sector. They're not covered by DOLE, they're covered by SSS, Pag-ibig, and the rest. So whenever you increase minimum wage, you only address 10%. The 90%, and who are they? When you increase the minimum wage, the earning or the wage there is no of the taxi driver, of the tricycle driver, market vendors, agriculture workers, they are not increased. So it's not popular in the sense that 90% are not benefited by these increases. So and the ones who are always increased the minimum wage are those who are really in the formal sector, who are mostly really regularly employed, and we keep on addressing them while we forget about the 90%.
All right. Again, thank you very much for those insights and for your time this morning. Sergio Ortiz Luis, President of the Employers Confederation of the Philippines.
Thank you very much also and for the opportunity.
Now, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News Now. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Jess De Los Santos. President Bongbong Marcos is back in the Philippines from his 3-day state visit in China. And the president says Filipino fishermen may soon be able to fish freely again in their traditional fishing grounds in the South China Sea. That's after he and Chinese President Xi Jinping vowed to find a compromise and a solution to the issue. More details in this report by Marian Enriquez.
The plight of Filipino fishermen in the West Philippine Sea was a hot topic in President Marcos' bilateral meeting with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. Marcos said they agreed to arrive at a compromise to allow Filipinos to fish in their natural fishing grounds.
We also discussed what we can do to move forward to avoid any possible mistakes, misunderstandings. The President promised that we would find a compromise and find a solution that will be beneficial.
To put this into action, the two leaders sealed an agreement to establish a communication mechanism on maritime issues. This is just one of the 14 bilateral deals Marcos signed with China during his state visit.
Sana yung Chinese members of the bilateral group have a direct access to the President. Ako naman, for my part, titiyakin ko yung mga nakaupo sa bilateral team natin ay may direct contact din naman sa atin. Para diretso, para hindi tayo nothing will be lost in translation.
The president hopes that this agreement will help ease tensions between the two nations in the West Philippine Sea.
Let's just call it an incident. Sana mabawasan na yun.
The president also confirmed that he and Xi also discussed the Code of Conduct for the South China Sea and the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea or UNCLOS. But Marcos did not provide more details on this. Recall that Marcos expressed hopes to reach finality on the Code of Conduct during the ASEAN Summit.
I think that they were in private discussion, so we have not yet formulated a complete, shall we say, position.
Chinese President Xi Jinping also offered to open talks on a joint gas and oil exploration deal with the Philippines. Aside from energy, Xi also promised to support the country in areas like agriculture and infrastructure.
We have to discuss some of the legal aspects of it, and I think the central issue there is the difference between sovereignty and sovereign rights.
Other agreements signed include protocols for the importation of durian and renewable energy policies. The Information and Communications Technology Department also signed a memorandum of understanding with its Chinese counterpart to boost the Philippines' digitalization efforts. MOUs were also signed to support tourism, trade, and to ensure bilateral cooperation of the two nations from 2023 to 2025. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register an account now at signalplay.com.ph so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos. We are One News, all sides, all the time.